In this video, we're going to give you a tour of the Department of Environmental Health in Mayaguez, Puerto Rico. You may be confused and think this is a government housing project rundown slum. You might not be wrong. This is what it looks like. Stay tuned. One of my most loyal supporters and I went to find the Department of Environmental Health to try to get the record that they have where Maria Gonzalez, my former neighbor, made complaints to the health department against me regarding me having too much trash and causing her fly infestation and all her other bogus complaints that were already put to rest in a court hearing back in 2022. We drove to the published location of the health department only to find the building closed and run down with no signage or notice as to where it had relocated to. Thankfully, there was a nice older gentleman sitting across the street at a cafeteria in the parking lot, and so I approached him, and he was kind enough to give me directions to the Mayaguez Medical Center campus where they had relocated to. It was a bit of a drive to get to the Mayaguez Medical Center, but it looked like a nice modern facility, despite having to pay for parking. And it was actually a very large campus with about 10 different buildings with absolutely no signage, no directions to tell you what building was what. We saw this one building and we thought, no, this certainly cannot be the Department of Health. It looks like a rundown government slum housing project. And on the upper levels, there were people sitting on the balconies, airing out laundry and going about their business. So we immediately dismissed that as a possibility. After driving around for about 15 minutes, we went inside and asked where the health department, specifically environmental health, was located, and we were told that it was in a building on the back side of the campus. So we went to the back of the campus, and there was this nice-looking blue building, and we assumed this must be the building. But when I went inside and started to walk around, a staff person told me that this was not the environmental health building, but that was a different building, actually the next one over. So I went outside and started to walk around. Eventually, I walked back into the main medical center building, and nobody in there seemed to know anything about the environmental health department. They kept referring me to the blue building, which was the Department of Health that included pediatrics and vaccines, but not the environmental health department itself. Eventually, someone finally told me that it was the yellow-green building, the one that looks like a rundown housing project slum, and I was in complete disbelief. Although we had no idea which building was the Department of Health, we were certain that this building could not be it until a staff person actually verified for us that yes, this rundown, disgusting building is actually the Department of Environmental Health. I had absolutely no intention of making a video or recording this place. We had simply come to try to get a copy of my file, but given the hypocrisy and the irony of this whole situation, where the Department of Environmental Health is in charge of going around to the homes of private individuals and critiquing their cleanliness and telling them that they have to clean up their property and make repairs and all these other things, I had to make a video about this. So here we are at the health department in Mayaguez. This filthy, rundown ghetto building that looks like a housing project is actually the Department of Health. The same Department of Health that goes around to people's homes and tells them that their homes are not clean enough. You can see these screens are ripped to shreds. There's mold. There's part of the ceiling hanging in here. Everything is filthy. It's in disrepair. It smells disgusting. We got water dripping. Got parts of ceilings missing. Water damage. This has been like this long enough that we have plants growing out of it. Disgusting standing water down here with poison rat traps. My broken street light here. Just assorted trash. Hi.
Hola.
Hola.
¿Puedo ayudar?
I'm just making a video right now.
Okay. What? For what?
Of the health department to put on YouTube.
You job to the department? Job for the department?
No, I'm just taking a video of the conditions of the building.
For what?
Because I'm making a YouTube video of the Department of Health building.
Yeah.
Oh, right, there's a broken lighting fixture with exposed wires. Getting hassled by government employees who feel free to come to my house and hassle me. This is an extreme amount of bird excrement. More assorted trash here at the Department of Environmental Health. Perhaps one of the larger hypocrisies here in Puerto Rico. Okay, some more trash. More poison bait boxes for rats and mice. More vegetation growing out of the side of the molded concrete. Here's more of the parking lot, some more of the rundown building here at the Department of Health. Beer cans, soda cans, assorted trash, iguana, overgrown grass. Isn't that one of the complaints they had, that my yard was not properly maintained? Alright, what else do we have here in the parking lot? The Department of Health. Oh, what's this? A dead, rotted pigeon carcass. So excuse me, who has dead animals on their property? Wasn't me. Actually, it's the Department of Health with dead animals on their property. And here's a disgusting, discarded COVID mask. And here's a discarded medical latex glove next to a poison bait box and a cigarette. More trash. Beer cans. Smells disgusting. Smells like, oh, this is what it smells like, another dead pigeon. This is 2 dead pigeons. Rotting and smelling disgusting. More trash. And more trash. And trash. And another mask. Some broken pipes. More of their building in disrepair. More vegetation growing. Mold and rust. More overgrown vegetation. Property not being maintained properly. God, you just smell rotting dead animals. Must be those pigeons. And another mask. More trash. another mask. Overgrown vines on the fence. More trash, another mask. What else do we have here in the parking lot at the Mayaguez Department of Health? There's another one of their disgusting abandoned buildings. And here we have yet another dead and rotting pigeon. So what's that now? 4 dead pigeons in the course of the last minute of walking around. But they're gonna come to my house and criticize me. This is just the outside of the building. You should see the inside. Here we have another overgrown part of the property. Got grass up to almost my knees. More trash. And what's this? We got some sort of conduit or electrical wiring hanging down here. The mold on the ceilings. Exposed electrical wire sticking out of this box. Broken pipe. More trash. Exposed electrical conduit running on the ground. Missing paint. Trash. More exposed wiring sticking out of a light fixture or something. I'm not sure what this particular dungeon is. More exposed wiring. Filth. This is all part of the health department complex here in Mayaguez. You know, the people that come to your house and tell you it's not clean and you have to fix things. So perhaps they should take a look at their own buildings and property before they start harassing innocent civilians. And there it is. There is the big health department building where we started. Okay, I'm here at the Department of Environmental Health to get a copy of the file containing the complaint that Maria Gonzalez made against me. Since it's a closed case, they should give me the file. Look at this disgusting. This is literally inside the Department of Environmental Health. Amazing. These people come to my house. Tell me my house isn't clean enough. You know, because they keep their place so clean. Standing water and vegetation growing on the roof, mold here, just general filth, you know.
Salud ambiental, estaba buscando. Allí, donde está la joven que está saliendo allí, allí es.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Sí, allí es. La supervisora la está esperando.
Ah, gracias. Hola, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Necesito unos documentos porque mi vecina hizo una querella contra yo y el caso está cerrado. ¿Okay? Necesito una copia.
Okay. No le puedo dar la copia porque nosotros mantenemos confidencialidad, la querella es confidencial.
Ella le dio a las noticias y fue a la televisión.
Sí, pero
¿Sí?
Yo le puedo...
So my videotaping ability cut off because I was trying to show this lady, who's the supervisor for the Department of Environmental Health, the copy of the email that Maria de Los Angeles Gonzalez had provided the news with and that had been put on television in front of millions of people. This woman, Janice Albino, was refusing to give me a copy of my file or the complaint made against me, saying that it was due to confidentiality reasons. Well, I told her that first off, the case was closed. As you can see here in this email that Teleonce put on the news, it says the complaint was finalized and closed. It could not be substantiated. And it's on the news. How do you claim confidentiality when you out yourself, you go on the news, you admit you made the complaint, you put the complaint on the news, and the complaint is filed? Maria Gonzalez not only went on the news and outed herself as having filed this complaint against me, but she also testified against me in court, as did this man, the health department employee who had originally come to my house, and he admitted, after lying repeatedly on the stand, that the complaint was actually closed and no complaints against me had been filed. And again, if they're so concerned about confidentiality, why are these 4 men from the Department of Health at my house with the news, speaking to the news, telling the news that complaints had been filed against me, putting my name, my house, and everything else on the news in front of millions of people, yet when I request a copy of the complaint that was filed against me, they refuse to give it to me, citing confidentiality reasons. Right. In the middle of my conversation with Janice Albino, the supervisor lady, this guy walked in, Eduardo Padilla, the director of environmental health for Mayaguez, who had repeatedly been at my house and also in court against me. He also refused to give me a copy of the complaint against me or anything in my file, saying it was an open case and citing confidentiality reasons. They both told me that my lawyer would need to make a formal request. I said, why does my lawyer need to make a request? I'm here right now making a request. The complaint is about me. It's already been on the news. You've been on the news talking about it. You and Maria Gonzalez have publicly testified in court against it, and I am entitled to a copy. Yet they refused. On my way out, I asked Mr. Eduardo Padilla, the director of environmental health, if he was aware that there were dead pigeons all over his property, along with medical waste and assorted trash. He said yes and shrugged me off, completely unconcerned. If this doesn't show you that this is a complete witch hunt and that this is all for political reasons and attacking the gringa and has nothing to do with anyone's concern about my animals, well, here they are, illegally poisoning pigeons, leaving the dead carcasses all over the public property to rot, having their building covered in mold, covered in filth, covered in bird crap. Yeah, right. I'm sure they're real concerned about my house.